to be able to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a while. It's been a few years now, but it's full
When did you get
out? 2020.
Yeah.
May 1st.
Man.
So after I left Columbia River, I went to a couple of different institutions, and I ended up at OSP, and I paroled from there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So it was just this little journey, but I got out of there, and then it was COVID like crazy. So I was really apprehensive about, going out and getting a job and like being outside. That lasted for about a year, until I got over that fear. And yeah, I haven't really made a lot of music since I've been home. I've been writing, and but as far as recording, no. It's just not, I don't know. It's still important to me, just not like primary.
Like, yeah. Sometimes other stuff is more urgent, whatever.
Yeah. Financially, I had to really buckle down and like get myself together and get over my hangups, and I did, and now I'm doing a lot better.
That's good. Are you guys plugged in now? David, Taya, you guys hear us? And I think you're muted.
Yeah, we all good now?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I just kind of want to preface by saying that like we are recording right now, and like anything that you want like cut out or anything after, we can totally cut out from the interview, and like whatever you're comfortable talking about, by all means, like let us know if anything's like something you don't want to talk about, or if anything feels like disrespectful. Have like a open, honest space to like talk about you and your music, anything that you want to share or talk about with being incarcerated and all things related.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Definitely want to preface, this is a safe space, so anything that you don't want, we got it. We'll take it out.
Got you. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah. But I guess just to kind of start out, who are you? What do you do? And how is your artistry going these days?
Well, my name is Brian Joyner. I'm originally from Baltimore City, born and raised. I like storytelling as a form of hip hop, live instruments. It's like my groove thing.
Gotcha.
I grew up in the streets, and so I got like a rough edge to my delivery and stuff like that. I like to keep it close to the hood as far as like my delivery, as far as my approach, because that's a big part of like my personality. I'm working on editing it, but as far as my music goes, like I like to have fun. I think I got about 4 different styles that I like to use. I'll use one that's just for the ladies, you know what I'm saying, where I direct my content towards love affairs and love matters, and just reaching out to women in a creative way. But because it's towards women exclusively, you know what I'm saying, I consider that a style. Like you gotta be in a certain headspace, you know what I'm saying, to talk to a woman the right way. And then I have a style that's like more like punchlines and like metaphors. It's kind of goofy, you know what I'm saying, because I like to paint pictures. I'm a visual artist, so the way that I see things is very colorful and abstract. So when I use words, I like to paint pictures, metaphors and similes of that nature, just to kind of like engage with the audience in a way where I'm making them think what I want them to think. I'm painting a picture, and I hope you see it. You might not see it the way I do, but your brain is basically my canvas when I'm using words as paint. I have another style that's like more about like my actual experiences and my points of view, like in my personal points of view. And I call that real shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just real shit. Like you can listen to it and you're going to be able to understand the moral the moral aspect of where I'm coming from, and seeing how I tell the story about what I've been through, like realistically. Like this is not no metaphors or punchlines or, you know what I'm saying? It's all like honesty, you know, and you know, that's like my favorite style because like I have so much experience in life. You know, I just turned 41 years old, so excuse me. I've been around for a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. And so, you know what I mean? And then you know, I have another style that's like it's more like a gangster flow, you know, it's more like hardcore street stuff, you know, the basics. I got the gun, you know, I got the gun, you know, I get the money, you know, and stuff like that. It's more played out as far as like where I'm at now with recording and presenting myself to the public. You know, that's something that I really don't do as much anymore. I don't find the inspiration to write violent music anymore. So like recording over the last, I say 10 years has been like it's been really, really fun because like rapping out loud and in front of people, you know, that's one thing, you know, and then like kind of like doing it with a band is like another thing, but like, you know, really performing and like controlling the sound and capturing it, it's a whole different beast. It's nothing like live performances. It's nothing like that at all. And it's a skill. It's a skill that you hone, and the more that you do it, the better at it you get. So a lot of people, you know, that are good rappers aren't necessarily good recording artists. And it's the same way as some people may be good artists, but they might not be able to tattoo as well because it's just a different mechanism that you're expressing yourself through. And so, you know, it takes time to kind of like hone that skill and get it primed so that you can actually express yourself the way it sounds in your head. And at least that's my opinion, my point of view of it, and how my experience of it has been, because I'm nice now. I'm polite, you know, I'm nice, and I get in front of the microphone and, you know what I'm saying, I'll just like let the beat play. Don't record me yet. You know, I'll just let the beat play and I'll just go in, you know, do that a few times, and then it's hot. It's going to be a hot take. So that's like kind of like how I, you know, get myself going in the studio and, you know, get it going. I mean, I have over 100 songs recorded. Do I have possession of those songs? That's a different story. It's been studio to studio and stuff like that just get misplaced. And I just feel like I'm still working at a large surplus and abundance of experience and skills. So that stuff doesn't really mean anything to me comparatively to what my potential is.
Mm. That's a really beautiful way to like break up and like talk about your artistry for real, like those different various ways that you kind of go about your music making process. I wanted to ask, because you said that you're from Baltimore, what were some of your influences growing up locally? And then like, who would you say like really like inspired you as far as your flow? Yeah.
Hmm.
Or even just how you go about making music, or just people that like tap into a place like emotionally, like when certain music just hits for you, it's just like it's that.
Well, I'll start from the beginning and go around. Growing up, I listened to I was inspired to rap by Eazy-E, Fuck the Police. It was just something about the imagery that was just so profound and just so like powerful and like independent that just made me feel like that's what I want to do. And it was a black man with black hat on, black glasses, black gloves, black shoes. Like it was just like he was just like, I dare you to try me. And you know, as a young kid, you know, I was timid, and I was very timid and shy, quiet type. And when I seen that, it kind of empowered me that, you know, I'm stronger than what I think I am. And so like I I would go to school rapping Eazy-E lyrics, Ice Cube lyrics, but I would switch them around and I would change the words. So it was like fun for me to do that. I wouldn't do it in front of anybody, but you know, that was how I started. That was the inspiration that got me going. And being on the East Coast, you know, that's from the West Coast. And, you know, for me as a child, there was no line. There was no barrier. It was just music. It was just sounds that just made me feel strong. And being timid and afraid and, you know, nervous all the time, that was something that really changed a part of my personality as far as being outgoing and being brave and fighting through that fear. So shout out to Eazy-E and NWA, you know what I'm saying? Y'all did y'all thing. Growing up after that, like I was more into New York hip hop with the flashy, like Biggie Smalls, like he started the whole like flashy fly guy kind of thing. And you know, it was people before him, but he really capitalized and put it out there. He was like, I'm ugly and I don't care. I'm still gonna take your girl. And then there ain't nothing more, you know what I'm saying, I guess, you know, motivational to think like this guy doesn't care, so why should I? You know, he was one of my favorites. You know, Tupac is from Maryland, New York area. So Tupac was definitely an influence on me as far as his bravado and his confidence. Like he was fearless. And he was very poetic as well. I actually went to the Art Institute that him and Jada Pinkett went to. I went there when I was about 8 years old. This was around the same time of the Eazy-E influence and stuff like that. I didn't know at the time that that was Tupac's school, but coincidentally, my brother, he raps, and then one of my best friends rap, and we started a group when we were like teenagers, and those two guys were like the guys that I was trying to impress. Those were the guys that I was trying to say the thing to make them say, ooh. They were like my biggest influences growing up. And my brother, he one of the best rappers I ever heard. Like as far as like person to person, face to face, he's the best rapper I've ever heard. There's a lot of good guys out there that make music, but you know, Tony OG is nasty. And my brother Jada Mack, you know what I'm saying? He's they write their rhymes in their head. They don't even write it down. But these boys is bad, you know what I'm saying? And they always been, you know, top notch, high tier MCs. So, you know, those were the guys that like helped me really like design my style. And when I first started making music, before I started making music, I wrote poetry. I still write poetry. Poetry is basically lyrics. But you know, having that poetic style, you know, it was easier for me to transition into music because I already like both. And I realized that it was easier for me to just write my stuff down and memorize it from that over repetition. So that's kind of like my approach and stuff for writing music. When I was younger, they used to have this strictly hip hop station that comes on Friday nights. And it was this guy, I heard him. He was from Baltimore. And man, this guy was killing it. Like, man, I was like, that flow is, I've never heard that flow before. And I listened to all these guys on the radio, CD player, you know, cassette tapes, all that. I've never heard this rhyme flow before. And I always used to catch it like at the end of it. Like I would turn on the radio and it would just be going off. And one day I caught it at the beginning. It was like, it was playing, the radio was playing and stuff, and it came on. And I got a chance to hear the whole song, and I was just like blown away. I was like, bro, like I gotta learn that style. Well, you know, years down the line, you know, so I'm incarcerated for a robbery. And I'm sitting in my bunk, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, writing a rhyme, doing my own thing, minding my business. And this dude walks up to me and he's like, yo, you rap, da 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 da. I got a CD, I'll let you hear it. So I listen to it, I get to track 7. And damn it, if it ain't this dude that I've been hearing on the radio for over a couple years now. And I'm just like, no way. No way. It's no way that this is him. But, you know, it is what it is. So, and I had the conversation with him. I let him know what it was, man. And this dude was like, he wrote rhymes in his head too. And we would just write rhymes and then, present them to each other. And he's the one that really got me sharp, because I respected his craft and how he did it for like the utmost. So if I can get him to say, "Ooh, I know that shit was tight. I know that shit was tight." You know what I'm saying? I know that it goes, you know what I'm saying? And so it was like, he was basically like a coach or like a manager type, you know what I'm saying? But like, he had the utmost respect for me too, because, I was really bringing it. So like, I don't know if that answers your question, but like, those are like the main influences of my life, even like to now. I would say that people like Drake, he's a major influence over the culture. His delivery and how he approaches music making, he does it different all the time, and he's somebody that I respect highly. People like West Side Boogie, um, from out Compton. He's very poetic, but he ratchet. He says some stuff that was kind of harsh, but then he just hits you with the flowers afterwards. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I like it when it's bittersweet. Um, People like Benny the Butcher. You know what I'm saying? He bringing that old school New York punchline stuff back. Stuff like that. That's like, I like authentic music that sounds like itself. I don't like copycatters or people that mimic and stuff. And I stick to the originals, people that I think that's going to have good lifetime in their music and make good music that I can relate to. I also listen to a lot of R&B, a lot of soul music, a lot of 70s and 80s. Those are my primary go-to music to listen to. It's more of a R&B vibe. Just personally, me, just being going through a lot, I feel like that gangster rap, that hardcore street stuff, it kind of like amplifies some of my negative antisocial behaviors that I don't agree with anymore. So I don't like to listen to that stuff because that's what it's promoting. Whereas though R&B really makes you get a touch of that other side of yourself and make you really realize, like, love is important, more important than any of this other stuff. And that helps me with my personal like point of view. So when I'm coming at a rhyme, no matter what it's about, my personal point of view, I like to be calm. I want to be calm and I want to be grounded. And I want to know that, what I'm saying? What I mean? Come at it, understand that people are going to listen to this and that they're going to hear it. And then how is that going to affect them? And that's important to me as far as my presence, my presentation.
That's really beautiful to hear. Answered a lot of questions that I had come up with. It's really cool to be talking about like R&B sounds like it's very healing to you in different ways.
Yes.
In general too, like when you talk about love and things like that, when do you find yourself looking for those moments of growth and like seeing that love can be healing? Like what do you look for and how do you reach levels of personal growth in areas like that?
Pain. You see pain, love it needs to be administered. When you see suffering, when you see pain, and pain can be interpreted on the external differently than from the internal. A lot of people can deal with a lot of pain, can cope or not necessarily cope well with a lot of pain. But if you can recognize that someone else is in pain, then you know that love is needed in that area for that person. It probably is just as much needed for yourself in that area as well. Self first. So if you see pain and then you feel it, you can empathize with it and you can recognize it. That is an area in yourself that you need love at too. So I think that's how I recognize it.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. That's something that I've thought a lot about in doing readings. Like that was a part of like my life where I thought that I needed to like learn more about love and things. and I read this Bell Hooks book all about love, and like a lot of those things are very reminiscent of like starting with healing yourself first and that. So it's really good to hear that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think by healing the pain in yourself, you involuntarily give people the permission to heal themselves as well.
Absolutely.
Through the example of how the process works, and trusting in the process of healing. Because healing don't like happen like a snap of a finger. Like, man, it doesn't. The pain still is there even after you heal. It's just about really accepting that you can't change it. And once you can do that, like, the process can begin.
I think you touched on something that, like, I think most people walking around through the world need to, tap into, is just empathy. Having real empathy for those who've had various different experiences, and it's just like incredible how disconnected people can be nowadays, and like yourself, who's obviously gone through a lot. How have you reconnected and kind of just like grounded yourself more on your day-to-day, or even just like writing? Because you said you're not really making music right now, just focus on kind of like getting yourself together, which is completely understandable. How do you tap into that?
Narcissism, which is basically a big aspect of the disconnection that the world is experiencing right now. Being in love with things and feelings and thoughts versus people and yourself. And so, like, the narcissist doesn't feel what other people feel, because they're distracted with their own ego and creating a version of themselves that is beyond reality. And it's just psychological. And so, like, we all suffer from it. We all deal with it to a certain extent because it's part of the culture, to be self-serving and to be the king in my house. This mine's. So feeling empathy for another person is something that is a natural ability. It is like breathing, okay? It is breathing, literally. Like, lions don't go and kill a deer. Like, they don't call it that. They call it dinner. And it's like the elk already know, I might get ate today. It's not a killing like the way that we perceive it to be. Oh, that poor deer, I hope he gets away. No, that's not how nature works. So empathy works the same way. Like, when we're children, we literally have no other ability other than to empathize and then cry. Okay, we could poop. We poop a lot. We pee a lot and poop when we're babies. Okay. But what I'm saying is that the only way a child can protect themselves is through the sense of empathy, through the sense of feeling and hearing and sensing danger, because there's no other defense mechanism that a child has. They don't have claws. They don't have sharp teeth. They don't run fast. They're not that smart. There's no way for them to really defend themselves except for preemptively through empathy. And so they sense danger, or they sense safety, or they sense love. But other than that, they're dead meat. And so when you grow up in a world where everything is dangerous, or you're perceived to be dangerous, you lose a sense of empathy and feeling things out, and you become more psychological, where things become labels, people become constructs, to manipulate, like a chess piece, like a pawn. And this is the type of behavior that is actually encouraged in our society from day one, honestly. And so, living in a technological world where people don't have to see you to even talk to you. Look at this. Look at this. We ain't even around each other having whole conversations. The disconnect is part of the structure of society that we live in. So it's honestly, in some ways, rewarded to be a narcissist. That dog eat dog mentality. I got to get mines, even if I got to take it from you. Like, these kind of traits are encouraged, and loving traits are kind of like presented as being weak, like lame, as far as, victim. You're a victim if you care. If you help the old lady across the street, boy, what you doing? And stuff like that. And so I have always had a sense of empathy, but once my personality took over, I was disconnected as well. And being incarcerated, it was like I was like in a bubble. Like, I was literally in a bubble, and I realized that I'm only going to be able to eat what's in this bubble. And so I started reading, I started meditating, I started praying. And what happened was I opened myself up. I think I opened my heart chakra by doing that. And my heart chakra was open, and it still is, to the point where now those things that I used to purposely ignore, the pain from other people, the suffering, I started to let it in my bubble. And I started to realize, like, there's a connection we have with everyone that is intrinsic. It's natural. It's the same thing as the air that we breathe, and we breathe in all the same air. Like, it's the same. It's the same as when the sun hits your skin and it hits mine. We both warm, because that's what the sun does. And empathy does that. It's like that type of connecting bond that is just, it's invisible. And so it's easy to take for granted, because we live in a material world, and we praise that materialism, and it creates a sickness of self-importance, self-grandiosity, selfishness, self-centeredness, that the world revolves around me. And that is a complete disconnect from what's actually happening, which is that we all need each other, that the love that I feel for you is the love that I actually have for myself. And that's why I'm reflecting it off of you. And so it's just like, I think that empathy is very important. And what I had to do for personally to tap into that was to really take a look at myself and like how I was connecting with people. And I wasn't connecting with people. I'm a know-it-all. So if somebody needs something, I'm a facilitator as well. So if you need something, I know the person, I can hook y'all up, get y'all right, boom, boom, boom. And my personality was in full effect all the time. It's like an alternate ego. It is an alternate. The ego is alternate from the self. So like, you know what I mean? Being my true self at this point in time in my life, I'm 41. I've basically been an egomaniac for 20 of those years, trying to create this version of myself that was strong enough to live in this society. I survived. It did its job. And now it's time to go home and allow God to point me in a direction, to show me the path. Period.
First of all, I just want to commend you for all that self work and self growth, because to be able to identify that and work on yourself is not an easy thing. Like, it really is like you have to, kill that ego. And
Yeah.
I on where you are in your journey, 100%.
Thank you very much.
One thing I was curious about from that is you talked about reading plot and like finding out your own empathy and things like that. Which sources of literature did you find to be the most helpful?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad that you asked me that. That is a very this is something I'll share for everyone. And this is, I'm telling you, bro, it's gonna open you up check this out. It's going to open you up. One of the most inspirational and perception altering books that I've ever read was My Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. He also wrote a book called Ishmael. And these two books together changed my life. Like life is life before you read the book, and then there's a life after you read the book. Those two books completely messed me up. Like it had broke down the mental constructs that I had in my mind about what this world is and what is intended. Another book that I read that was perspective and mind altering was New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And then he has another one called The Power of Now. They're basically the same book, but one gives you the narrative without anything, just gives it to you raw. And the other one is coming from a perspective of someone that's unconscious, asking questions, and then the questions being answered by Eckhart Tolle. And like I said, the material is pretty much the same thing, but if you're one of those kind of people that have questions, The Power of Now is more for you. And if you're someone that has already like started the journey, the New Earth would be easier to read. So those two books, those 4 books were entirely transformative for me. The last book I'll give you is The Alchemist by what's his name? Coley. Paolo Coley.
Yeah.
Paolo Coley, yeah. The Alchemist. That story is about me. Like I can literally break down the chapters and the pages where I'm telling you, this guy is telling my story, and in a metaphorical way, you know. And right now, if just to compare that story, I'm at the end in Egypt, getting my ass beat by some guys who are telling me that I'm a fool for being out here looking for a treasure, right? And what I found was the treasure is in me. Okay, that's the metaphor of all of that, is that you already have the treasure inside of you. And that just changed the way that I look at everything. Those authors will be the people that I want to talk to personally and just thank them for their expression in this world full of, you know, evil and hate and misery and suffering. And like those are the gems that make life worth living for me. And inside my little bubble, man, I just knew, I knew that there was a God. I just knew. It was like, if there was any doubts in my mind, there are none now at all. And my ego is in full effect, pushing everything away from me, only wanting what it wants, when it wanted, how it wanted. And you can't live like that in peace. You can't just use people and have a sense of peace. You'll never be at peace because you got to do the next thing to keep the manipulation going. You'll never be able to rest. A wicked soul never rests. So, you know what I mean? Being in that state of constant high vigilance and constant alert, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. But I tell you, those are the books that really inspired me. Another person that inspires me is Prince. Rest in peace to Prince. Shout outs to Prince. That man was a genius. He was a genius. He had it. He knew some of the secrets to life. He knew. And, you know, I watched documentaries of him and it just blows my mind. The poise, the knowing that he has, the confidence in knowing those secrets. It just exudes from him, like in his aura. Like it's beautiful. I don't know. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. And you talking about The Alchemist, it sounds like you're saying you feel very seen in that artwork. Is that something that you try to convey to other people through your music or different forms of expression? Like being seen by your experiences?
Yes and no. There's a side of me that doesn't care what people think. And so I write the music that I like. But then there's a technical side of me where it's like, okay, what if somebody else listens to this, you know? And so some of the messages that I implant in my music is personal, but I'm saying it in a way where somebody else can pick it up if they were interested. Like you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink, you know? And so I put water in it, but I don't put the cup in there.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that that's important too in terms of like just the general conversation of empathy and like finding self-love is like, if you want that information, like it is out there for you. It is finding yourself. So I definitely really respect that approach and things. Like you're telling your story, there's the pieces for someone that should they so see fit to find that within themselves, they can. So
yeah, absolutely. Like love in an acronym is letting others voluntarily evolve. And that's the greatest kind of love that you can give a person, is not to do it for them, but to allow them to figure it out on their own and just be there for them when they fall down. Don't try to prevent their experience. Like a little kid, if you don't let them fall off their bike, they won't grow up to buy a Lamborghini or a Buick, whatever, whichever one they like the most, whichever they want to go for. But you can't stop them from having that experience of falling off the bike because they need it in order to grow. And so loving someone sometimes is seeing them feel pain and empathizing with them, listening to what they have to say, being around them in a physical way where you can put your arm around them, not telling them what they should do or doing it for them or giving them the money that they need. It's just really about just being there and feeling what they feel and allowing them to release some of that off of them, knowing that they connected with another person. And that's what a narcissist will not do. We will not do that. As soon as they feel something they don't want to feel, they're gone. And so, you know, it's very important to feel those feelings with that person and allow being there for them to be how you love them versus saying I love you or giving them $100. Like empathy is very important, and it's coming back in style. I'm telling you, we just got to keep on doing it. It's going to come back in style. It's going to be jazzy again.
We touched on some of your influences as far as literature. I'm curious if you're comfortable, while you were incarcerated, what were some powerful things musically, whether being with yourself or like artists that you really like honed in on listening to, or what was the creative process able to look like while you were in?
Well, when I'm incarcerated, I don't do music. And I had learned a lesson a long time ago that, you know, it's a lot of people in there that don't have nothing going for themselves. And so if you're like in any kind of way an expressive person, like being a rapper, they'll want you to rap all the time. I mean, you'll be a radio if you let them. You know what I'm saying? And so it also it offers a level of exposure where people that you would never usually talk to will find that as a meeting point or a connection point with you, and find ways to like you and also find ways to dislike you. It's 50-50. And so doing that in public, like in a prison setting, you know, me being from the streets, I'm not trying to expose myself and just be out there like that. So I stopped writing music while I was in prison because I didn't like the attention. I don't want the attention. And it's putting me at risk by having that type of attention. Some dudes write rhymes too, and they're just not good. Gives them all the world, all of the space in the world to be jealous. They never heard me rhyme, they're the best person to themselves. They hear me rhyme, now they're second guessing themselves, and they're looking at themselves, and they don't like what they see. So, you know what I mean? As an intelligent, spiritual kind of person, I can't talk to people. You can't. I talk like this for real. 24/7. This is me. I'm there. And so people that are, I would say, ignorant or unconscious is a better word, unconscious of themselves, unconscious of their own worth, unconscious of the constructs and dynamics of the society, you know, can't tell them anything. And so I just like kind of keep to myself. But as soon as I'm out and I'm back in around my regular setting, then I write like crazy. Like, and it's also when you're incarcerated, getting a hold of like good beats is difficult, to say the least. It's almost impossible to difficult. Now, there's different ways with the technology. My first incarceration was in 2001. So back then we weren't even allowed to have TVs and stuff like that. Like now they got video games, they got all that junk, you know, MP3 players. So it's a little bit more access nowadays, but you know, I just stick to the same script. And I would say that whenever there was like music going on, I was in attendance, but I wasn't a participant. And at Columbia River, you know, I had been there before and stuff like that, and there wasn't a music program. So when I came back around and I was there, and they had a music program, I was instantly attracted. You know, I got right into it. You know, I have like a director, orchestrator type of vibe with me, because like I know certain things from being good at the recording process of it all. So, you know, I liken that to like, you got people that play in their backyard, they play basketball in their backyard, then you got people that play on the court, you know, down the street with the other guys, and then you got the NBA, you know what I'm saying? And so like rapping with your homies is like the backyard, you know, rapping in front of people is kind of like on the basketball court in the neighborhood, you know, rapping and battling and all that. But when you start recording your music, you're in the NBA now. Like now it's time to really take it seriously and take it to the next level, beyond the next level. Like you gotta step your game up. So, you know, being from that perspective, you know, I wanted to integrate myself into it and allow like whatever I knew to be applicable. And they had the music program, and that's where I met Nate at. And Nate brought in his bass guitar, and you know, they would play the tunes, and we would just make up. It would just be like freestyle, like on the fly, whatever come up, however the vibe is feeling. And you know, I really connected with Nate because he's just sincere. He's just sincere. I mean, it is what it is, and it's authentic and genuine. His like, he doesn't say much, but when he's talking, like he means it. And that was something that I picked up instantly. And we were able on a musical vibe to like get to know each other like very fast. You know, it's still a lot that I need to learn about him like as friends, but this guy, there's some things he ain't got to say that I know. Nate is amazing, you know what I mean? And I always respected how he found the time to volunteer and bring himself in, his vibe, his, you know, his love, bringing love, just basically what it was. And he was showing love, and he was showing a sense of empathy, and not only feeling what we felt, but allowing us to feel what he felt. And that was the most awesome part of it all, was the receiving of genuine love. And that was, you know, how I perceived it at the time. And it really was something that I look forward to every Monday morning. We go to bed early. I'll be down there. I'm setting it up. I'm getting I'm putting the mic on. Got the mic linked up. I'm over here. You know what I'm saying? For real, I'm over here. So yeah, I mean, that was a really good experience for me. Being incarcerated, to have that outlet, outlet in a prison, which is captive, to have an outlet is all makes all of the difference of the experience of being incarcerated. Having that outlet, that was the best part. So even though I don't do music in prison, at that point in time, I was doing music in prison. Like it was happening. I was just as sharp. I was just as good. You know, maybe the content was a little lacking because of the confinement of the mentality sometimes that can happen in prison. But, you know, all of the swag was there. The flows was there. Like, it was all good, man. And it's like, you run out of things to talk about sometimes. But if you're being honest, you don't run out of things to talk about. And live instruments for me it's like having a conversation. And if you're being honest, you can talk about it. If you got to make it up and you got to think about it, that's a difference. There's a difference in that. So yeah, the writing process in prison versus out prison is completely different. It's more restrictive in prison. It's more limited as far as like influence and just subject matter. But it's pretty much the same as far as long as you're being honest. It's pretty much the same.
Man, that's really powerful. First of all, thank you so much for sharing that. It's been amazing just hearing your words and raw, like how you speak with emotion, just coming from your perspective. I wanted to touch on, because obviously it was an outlet in the CRC music program. Right now we're working hard to kind of like get things a little bit more efficient, and obviously we run into various different obstacles at times, because it is a volunteer program through prison. So I just want to know from your perspective as somebody who was a leader in the program, helping those other guys, what are some things that you would say for us could work better, like some tips of advice to make the program better, things that you noticed that could be better, you know what I mean?
Yeah. First of all, thank God that any of this can even happen at this point, up to this juncture, at this point in time at all, whether it be minimal or, closer to its potential. I just want to thank God that there are people such as you guys that are interested in the healing of our whole community. And that is very important. And to thank God, to say thank you, God, that this program even exists. As far as making it better, the institution pretty much dictates the type of material, the type of equipment. That's the word I was looking for. The type of equipment that is allowed in there. Because of the internet and internet access, it makes it risky to bring computer equipment in that is unsupervised, because humans are smart, and if it don't got the internet on it, I'm really sure somebody might figure out a way to do it. And so I would say being mindful of any potential security breach, as far as you're volunteering and coming in, Like that should be just as important to you as it is to the prison. The reason I say that is because you got to cover all your bases. And if you're going to have a good offense, you want to have a great defense. Defense wins championships. And you want to be able to protect yourself from any person that is a musician, but is also a narcissist. So you got to be able to protect yourself from that first and foremost. The defense has to run the offense. So, being mindful of the security breaches and how those things could happen, even being creative and imaginative of like, what if this happened if we brought this in? Because it's not a guarantee. This is a privilege, right? And it's always one person that do some dumb shit that fuck it up for everybody, right? That's how it works. And so then rules get made to protect people from doing that or prevent people from doing it, but also it hinders people that weren't doing it at all. And they got to suffer. So that's something that I would say. Another thing, is, some of the technicals of like how to set up the atmosphere, the environment. So each person gets a crash course in how to assemble, to operate the material, the equipment. That could be something that's very valuable in a group setting. You know what I'm saying? I would say allow it to be for everyone initially, but really give like a interview type of audition type of thing for it. Look at their criminal background, see like, are they a violent person? Like get in touch with the person and allow it to be a privilege versus, just all willy-nilly. Because there were people that would come in that were in bad head places, right? And could mess up the whole session because they want to play their song and don't show respect to the other people that are there to do the same thing. And so sometimes you want to really get a vibe for a person. And if you feel like this person may be confrontational, don't allow them in the program. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel. Everybody got a right to want to do something. But yeah, I mean, just because you got the right to do something don't mean you get to come in here with your dirty boots and stomp all over everybody else's stuff. I don't like that. And that happened a lot of times where I literally would have to just leave the situation, relinquish my time to do my thing because of the potential of an altercation. We don't need that. You need guys that want to come in there, that want to really learn and grow and do this kind of thing professionally in the streets, or even if it's for themselves at their own home studio, that these are skills that are transferable into the community. And that the people that want to transfer them, it should be more selective or just selective. Not necessarily more, but just selective. In the sense that maybe you got to come in through referral. Like somebody that's already in the program will say, I got this guy that I've been talking to, man, and he sing like a bird. I was thinking about bringing him in. What do you think? We have an interview with him and sit down with him and see where he at, see where his head's at. That would be a process, a procedure that would like keep some of the people that are in the program safe. And allow the volunteers to have more control and more input on how it operates, along with, connecting with the security manager about, making sure that it's secure. Those two things would really boost up the professionalism of it and allow people that really, really want to do it for real, that space to really be creative and safe. From my own experience, that's what I would have liked to be in place at that point in time. Before I had left, we had organized an event. It was like a talent show. Me and Nate, we did our thing. We did our thing, then we did our thing, boy. You know what I'm saying? And it was interesting. And we were trying to get recording equipment into the facility at that point in time before I had left. And it was a bunch of holds. And because it's a one class a week thing, they got a whole week to do things, and they just never get around to certain things. They waiting for the tech to come in and look at the equipment, and the tech is like, come on, bro. Everybody getting paid to do their job. Why ain't do it yet? Come on. He get paid to do this. So it was a lot of run around at the beginning, and fortunately, I left the facility to move on with my journey. But the security part of the equipment was a big issue. It was something that the facility was worried about, and it seemed like an obstacle for us, when really in all, it was definitely needed. It was necessary, and it's got to be with you guys like agreeing and pushing forward on your side. Like, yes, we want security. We want just to be safe. We want no breaches. We don't want no risk, anything involved. Like, that type of attitude may motivate the institution along in a positive way. Maybe not. That's just my opinion.
One thing I was thinking about, and that seems like a really good idea, to like make sure people are like okay before coming in the program. You think that, let's say there's a scenario where somebody enters the program and they end up being like unsafe for other people to properly record things. Do you think like follow-up interviews would be a good thing to conduct, or what ways do you think checking in with people could help to like ensure that everything's going smoothly?
Yeah. With that, yeah, like, say, like, as for instance, maybe there's like 4 classes in a 30-day period.
Mm-hmm.
Monday. One of those days we have a sit down, a check-in. We all check in. We all talk about how our week has been going, our month been going. Let's talk about, our latest creations and things that we're doing, what's going on, and just check in with how the program is helping with the coping and processing of being incarcerated. I think that would be awesome for the guys, for the fellas to have a sit down and just like, open up a little bit, or, just spectate and, observe. But I think that would be something that maybe once a month, that class is more of a check-in type of thing. And if, everybody checked in and everything feel good, and, it's got a little time left, let's get a little rock session. Let's get a little jam session going. Let's hear that new song you was talking about, But I think it'll also help to establish a rapport with the participants, to a way to be able to get to know them on a deeper level, allow them to express some of their concerns that happen throughout the month, throughout the weeks. A chance to take like down a wish list of being able to say, hey, what kind of things are you guys interested in? What would you like to try next? Is there any, things like that going on? And, with that type of thing, you could also do a lot of organization of like events throughout those check-ins, and say, hey, what about a talent show? And, what will we do, and how are we organizing? And what that could be a time when those kind of things can come up and can be discussed openly with everyone, and allow people to give their thoughts and ideas on how to take their craft, their skills, their talents to the outlet, to have an outlet. Because I'm telling you, you could be famous in prison. You spit the right thing, you say the right stuff, you do you do it good, people will respect you. and it will have a residual vibration. There will be residue from that. And yeah, of course, if you get out there talking about your gun and your drugs, that's probably not appropriate. But there can be some very profound things said, when a person knows that this is my shot. This is my chance to finally perform a song, and I want to say something good. Chances are it's a good chance that something good gonna come out of that with the right guidance.
Do you think that potentially opening up the program to other expressions of art through different mediums, like let's say like painting or even a specific focus on poetry, I think that would be something.
For say it again, could you repeat that for me?
Do you think that opening up the program to different expressions of art through different mediums, like let's say painting or maybe like poetry events, do you think having a broader array of art could produce more like healing or be better?
Absolutely, without a doubt. A lot of times though, it's really about the presentation. It's really about the presentation and the boundaries and all of those things. I think that those type of programs have been there before. Like I've done art programs. I've had my art posted on the walls in Columbia River. I think that it's a very creative space to do all of that stuff, like maybe even like t-shirt designs, right? And allow people to design a t-shirt and give us the designs, and we can, actually design their stuff for them. Or even in some kind of way, like I think in Columbia River, they have like computers where they can like do graphic designs for like cards and letterheads and paper with like pictures on them. Like they have stuff like that available, and but trying to make it accessible to the population, sometimes I don't think that Columbia River has just doesn't have the facility space for as ambitious as some of these projects can be. Like literally, like an art studio is a literal thing in the community, but in Columbia River, it's room 2.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So having actual space to like facilitate all this stuff when they have, so many security measures in place already, it could be a little daunting in the sense of all of the yellow, blue tape that they put up, for boundaries, but it's not impossible. It's like I said, it's about the presentation, and I think it's about like really understanding the boundaries and what we can and can't do, and just accepting those, and like, still do it at a high quality and have inject love into it. But prison is a business, okay? It's a business. They're not in the business of rehabilitation. They're in the business of storage. So, to not rehabilitate somebody is a definite flip in money. You flip that money if that person goes back out and does the same thing again. That money just got flipped, okay? You lose money in this business if someone heals themselves. So the promotion of healing in any kind of way, creatively or cognitively, right, is very important. It's crucial, because not only does the person suffer, the community suffers as well. And we are only as healthy as our sickest part of our community. So people on the outside, they get to point the finger and say, oh, those guys are bad, while they steal from their job every day and get away with it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, look at those guys, he's such an animal, and she's cheating on her husband. You see what I'm saying? So, the prison gives a place where people can point the finger and feel good about themselves that they're not there because they don't do those things. But we're all connected, and so these type of programs, whether it be music, art, poetry, comedy, business design, business planning, all of these things are healing tools, and they need to be administered to prison because it's basically sick in there. So I would say yes. I would say too, because it's not as easy as said. It's not as easily done as said. And
Right.
we want to give more to it. It's just the reality of that is more intricate, more complicated than just the desire to want to help people that need the help, that want the help. Yeah.
I really appreciate that answer. I think that helps to kind of put things into perspective a bit more, just about like what we can be doing, the reality of things. So I appreciate that.
100%.
Yeah.
The one thing that you had talked about is wanting to like push Columbia River, and that could like with to safety and security. Do you think there's more things that we could be doing to push Columbia River?
Stuff like this, talking to people that were there, gaining true insight into the mentality of the participants, broadcasting it, getting the footage and showing the community what this is, and getting the community support in any kind of way, shape, or form, from any venue, any merchant, any citizen that is willing to participate and support it. Find them, find the guys that were in the program and keep in touch with them. Keep them close. If they have the talent, if they have the skills, if they have the desire to better themselves, keep in touch with them. Pull them into the numbers. Pull them into the programs that are facilitating these type of things. Because eventually, I want to get permission to come back in. And once I'm come back in, boy, I'm down to earth. All right, we down to earth. Don't ask me no bullshit, but we down to earth. We gonna make this happen. If you really about that, I'm gonna be able to tell by your energy, by your vibe. I'm gonna be feeling you, and I'm gonna understand where you at, where you coming from, and if it's something there, where you're going. I'm gonna be able to understand that, and I want to. And a lot of the young brothers looked up to me because of my consistency. The fact that I was consistent, that I wasn't making up stories, that it was always like this with me. And I think that personally, I think that I would love to participate and join the movement. You know what I'm saying? For real. And I'm still part of the movement. I haven't been back to prison since. I got myself together. I've been on a spiritual journey of really detaching from my past attachments, and letting and freeing myself psychologically and emotionally, so that my spirit can grow. And a lot of these guys are on that journey and have no clue. They just have no insight or anything to reflect off that that's what they're going through. All that they know is they love music, and when they do it, they feel free. That's all that they know, so they show up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beginning. That's the beginning of being in connection with God. It's because when you do the thing that you love to do, you fall into a state of prayer, a state of connection with God, because there's nothing else happening. The past doesn't exist. The future's not there. You're just locked in the now, the moment of. And in that moment, you are being your true self. There's no ego there. There's no constructs. There's no sense of time. The bills, you ain't worried about no bills. Like, nothing else is happening. And that is it's like meditation. You know, it's like a meditative practice music can be. And so, yeah, I think that reaching out to the community, maybe make a newsletter, right? That keeps people in the community updated on this program. Have interviews with the participants once a month, like with this check-in type thing, like, you know, and then share that with the community, like bring people together from other nonprofits and say, hey, this is what we have, you know, this is boom, you know, and allow people to experience these individuals that have important places in our society that they're not being able to hone that skill, that inner peace, that sense of worth in themselves. And when someone is interested in what you say, hey, we want to give you an interview, we want to hear what you have to say. Even for me, I was like, for real? You can? You want to know? What? Me? You want to know what I think? Wow. And to be incarcerated, right? And have that same type of privilege, that person will walk with their head up high. They'll know that they have something that they're connected to, that they can do good, that will ultimately give them a sense of self-worth, a self-importance, of like value. And it may be, I'll say, it may be like superficial in a way, but just in a way, not really. Not really. If that person is like a narcissist, if that person is trying to feed them ego, it will be superficial. But a person that is really trying to figure this thing out called life, that is like a milestone. That is like a touchdown in a game that they was losing 100-0. And when they walk out of that building with at least 7 points, feel better than just straight getting skunked.
Right. I want to take it kind of back to you, because you're on your spiritual journey right now. And this could be something too that we can add to, because we just did start a newsletter actually.
Awesome.
I want to hear, what are some like affirmations or practices that you do in your day-to-day, to stay in the now, to stay in the present, and just amplify that positive energy?
I would say meditation. Meditation for me is listening to God. It is when you let your thoughts do what they do and you don't hold on to them. You don't grab one and turn it all around and look at it from every angle, try to dissect it. You just kind of just let it go by and let them all go by. All of the things, all of the clutter, it comes to a point where you don't hear it anymore. You just hear that ringing. And when you hear that ringing, like, you know, you're almost there to that point of true relief. But meditation, I work every day, and something that I always tell myself is that I got to do it. I got to do this for myself. I have to make sure that I'm okay. It's my responsibility to make sure that I'm okay. And right now, I'm like understanding the dynamic of my ego versus my soul, and that my persona is not healthy. So I've been praying a lot, and my favorite prayer is, thank you, God. Thank you, God. It's my favorite prayer. It's this most simple. It seems to be the most simplest prayer, but it's more complicated than that. And so for me, and when the things happen for me that I don't want to happen, or that I didn't expect to happen, or that I was trying to prevent from happening, I still say, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, God. That is an affirmation for myself that has been the balancing factor in my life. And has taken my spiritual practices at this point in time in my life, and allowed them to land on something solid. Whereas though the void in my heart was, I was just trying to throw everything in. I threw people in there. I threw my daughter in the void. I threw my girlfriend in the void. Like, I was trying to fill that sucker up, but whatever I can get my hands on. Smoke a bunch of weed. I threw some alcohol in there. You know what I'm saying? I popped a couple pills. Whatever I could put in that void did not feel it. And then I realized that the only thing that will close the void is God. That's the only thing that can fit in there and completely take it away. And that's an affirmation. Only God can heal me. Only God can fulfill me. Only God can complete me. Only God can make me whole again. Those are affirmations that I believe in, that I say to myself periodically throughout the days, that allow me to recalibrate, to refocus, to get back in accordance. Sometimes, I'll be in lapse and don't even know it. I'll be complaining, I'll be disgruntled. Man, who do you think? What? Why would they do that? Type of attitude. And then I gotta take a step back and say, whoa, thank you, God. Just thank you for letting this happen. This is a you thing, not a me thing. And it allows me to let go of psychological, egotistical, narcissistic control of trying to make things what I want them to be versus what they are, and what they will be naturally without. For example, like, I'm at a homeless shelter, and I'm at a bottom bunk, and this other guy needs the bottom bunk. Now I'm 6'2", 240 pounds. What the hell I look like climbing up a goddamn bunk on top, right? But this guy needed it. And so instead of me complaining and manipulating the situation to where, I keep the bottom bunk, I just said, you know what? Let him have it. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for whatever this is about. Thank you. And, I was able to let that go. But ironically enough, I needed to get around to a couple places because I don't have a car. And this guy's like, I'll take you. What a coinky dink. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. It's life. It's not a reward. It's not special. It's not magic. That's the way God works. And sometimes we block our own blessings by trying to make it what we want it to be versus what it actually is. And like, reading is something, and reading and writing are daily practices. Like writing down my plans, writing down the phone number, writing down the address, writing down the time for the appointment, literally using a pen and a piece of paper to write things down is exponentially important to me. Like, it really keeps me in line with what needs to be done. What's the next good thing to do? And so writing, meditating, praying, reading, really, I stopped smoking weed. So that has really cleared up my mind. So to each his own. Like, weed can be a spiritual practice too. Depends on how you use it. I don't use it like that. So it's not good for me to use it on a regular basis. But from time to time, it's okay as long as it's not in distress of trying to alleviate anxiety or pain from a situation that I need to experience. So I figured that part out. But listening to music. I listen to beats. I don't listen to rappers. Like I like West Side Boogie. I like Benny. I like Drake, but I don't listen to their songs anymore as much as I do listen to like instrumentals. I love R&B and stuff like that. And if it's something new and hot and just like fresh, a hot take, I'm on it. I'm looking for it. I was listening to her in like 2017, 2018, and she's like a big deal now. So I listen to a lot of underground music that are like up and coming, like before they're like nationally known. I was on Drake before he was Drake. He was Aubrey when I was listening to him, little Aubrey, little dirty ass. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my daily day really consists of just praying, meditating, and focusing on the next thing to do by writing it down and reading the literature that I need to read to understand what I need to do next, stuff like that. It's really simple. It's complicated to some. They just don't want to do it. It's hard to stay focused on one thing for too long. For me, it's just about being humble, man, and just appreciating life for what it is right now, and going day by day, and just be the best me I can be right now, and staying in that energy as long as I can before that other nigga in me pop up, like what they think they looking at, who they think they are. Yeah, guy still got that in me, I think we all do at some point in time, but like, for me, it's about keeping that guy in check and also loving that side of myself, so that I can heal. We got a side of ourselves that we really don't show everybody because we don't like it. We keep it to ourselves. And after a while, that water gets stagnant, and then mosquitoes start coming, and it get all infested and nasty inside of ourselves. And we're 90% water. So, we have to have a constant influx and flow of energy inside of us to go out. And we have to have those outlets that mean something to us, that are actually outlets, because meditation might be an outlet to me, and to the next person, it's not. It might be sex for them, but is that healthy? That ain't for me to say. But I know that meditation is definitely healthy. That's something I can bank on. That's going to be 100% good for me. You can never meditate too much. You know what I'm saying? You might catch a disease from sex, but you can't catch a disease from meditating, sitting in one spot and letting your thoughts go by and trying to listen to what God got to tell you. I mean, sounds legit to me. So that's what I do.
It's really beautiful to hear. I really have been enjoying this conversation. I feel like it's a lot of things that like just in society we need to hear, and then like personally, like a lot of this is very like resonant to me, like in your spiritual journey, that feels very healing and good to hear. So I just
Thank you, guys.
Sharing all these things.
Brian, I'm still here too, and I really appreciate hearing you go deep on everything that you have to offer, man. So really give me a lot to think about, and I really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you inviting me in. It's been a pleasure. Like, there was nothing that I said that I felt embarrassed about or apprehensive. Like, I just told the truth. I just told you what I know. Sometimes I felt like I was going a little bit off track. I just tried to dial it back and bring it back home. But
no, man, you're good.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
I think we do have some more time left, about 30 more minutes before this will all shut down.
Absolutely.
But I guess in general,
real quick though, before I gotta bounce actually, but you guys good going on? Brian, thank you so much. I'll be in touch with you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Give me a call.
Okay, we'll do. Take it easy. Bye, guys. Thank you, David. Thank you, Taya.
of course.
Yes, of course.